Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This tutorial is a continuation of our C++ series that we began earlier. In this tutorial we'll be going over variables in C++. So let's first start by defining what a variable is. So a variable can be defined as a memory placeholder. It's just a name that that points to a specific part in memory. Now this name is given to that specific part of memory by the programmer. So the sole purpose of variables is to label and store data in the computer's memory. So it just labels a part of the computer's memory. So whenever we refer to that variable name within our code, that's the data stored in that specific part of memory will be used instead. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So here we can see that, think of the computer's memory as a huge block, one block, and this block is divided into different subsections, and these subsections may contain data or may not contain data. Okay, so a variable simply just points to that specific part of the computer's memory. It just points to it, right? So for example, we can see that not all parts of the block, the separate sub-blocks within the computer's memory, are actually filled. Some of them are empty while others have values. So whenever we create a variable, the variable will point to a specific part of the computer's memory, and whenever we refer to that variable, the data within that specific part of the computer's memory will be used instead. For example, we have a variable that is called my number. It points to a specific part of the computer's memory that has a value of 20. So whenever we call my number in our code, what will be returned is the value 20. So let's look at how we can create a variable in C++. So there are two steps in creating a variable. The first step is the variable declaration. The variable declaration just basically tells the computer that, hey, create for me a part in the computer's memory that will be used to store a specific data. Okay, so to create a variable, you have to follow some steps. The first one is that you have to specify a data type rather. So you specify a data type. So data type, there are different data types in C++. We in the next tutorial we'll go over some of the commonly used data types in C++. So after specifying the data type, you give space and then an identifier. An identifier is just a name, any name. This could be any name, but must not be certain names which are keywords in C++. So that the identifier could be any name with the exception of keywords. So after declaring the variable, now we need to initialize the variable. So it's the second stage, which is the variable initialization. So in the variable initialization, what we just do is that we specify the identifier name that we give the variable, and we use the assignment operator to assign a variable to that specific part of the computer's memory. So to elaborate more on this, here we have, on the first line, we have created a variable. We gave it a data type int. So int is just a data type that is used to store integers in C++. Integers like 20, 10, 15 and so on. So we give it an identifier, which is my name. This could be anything except keywords in C++. So in the computer's memory, when you declare a variable, it just tells the computer, hey, create for me a part in the computer's memory and point it to this variable. So that's what a variable declaration does. So it just tells the computer, create for me a specific memory where I'll be keeping some data and point it to this variable name. That's what variable declaration does. So you can see in the first diagram we have my name, which is, we just created a variable called int and we gave it an identifier my name. So it just creates an empty block in the computer's memory that points to my name. So whenever I refer to my name, it will basically refer to that empty block in memory. So the second step is a variable initialization, where we use the assignment operator to assign a value to that specific point in the computer's memory. So we can see we assigned 20 to my number, which is the variable that we declared earlier. So right now in the computer's memory, the value 20 will be taken and stored in the computer's memory. So, it still points to our variable my number. So whenever I refer to my number in our program, what the computer does is that it goes to a specific part in the computer's memory and grab us 20, which is stored in there. So this is not the full picture of how it works. There are something known as memory addresses and pointers. So we'll look at this later on in the series. But for now, this is just basic logic or theory behind variables. So let's get to the code to see how this actually works. So I'll just open up my Sublime Text over here, and I'll simply create a simple C++ program. So I'll just say int main, and I'll just return the 0. So the return is not compulsory, but you can decide to keep it or you can decide to leave it out. So now that you have created the int function, we can create a variable. So to create a variable, you can give it a data type, right? So we didn't cover data type, so I'll just use integer as I've explained to you earlier. So integer is just a data type in C++ used to store integers, okay, these integers numbers. So we can give it an identifier. Now this could be any name, so I will just call my number. You could call it any name, you can call it NO, anything, but just call it something that is descriptive, okay, and it's not a keyword in C++. So we have declared a variable, right? So this first step is known as the variable declaration. So here we have declared a variable, okay. So now that you have declared a variable, the second step that you're going to do is that you're going to initialize a variable. So you're going to just refer to the identifier, use the assignment operator and give it a certain value, and always remember to end with a semicolon, okay. So right now we have created a variable. Here the first on line 5 we have declared a variable which we just tell the computer, hey, create for me a part in the computer's memory, which is this stage over here. Create a part in the computer's memory. Right now it is actually empty, so whenever we do the assignment operator, we assign 20 to it, so 20 will be copied and pasted in that part of the computer's memory. So now that is done, whenever I refer to my number, the computer will just go to the memory address referring to this variable and grab us the value within that memory location. So for example, I want to print out something, so I'll just include the IOStream. So include and then the IOStream. So down here we're just going to print out that specific number. So I'll bring down here and then I'll just do std cout and then you can output that. So but let's just use the namespace since it's much easier. So using namespace std, so the standard namespace, so we can just remove this, we don't need this. So we can just say cout and then we can output the variable name. So let's run this code and then let's see what we get. So if you're confused about this, why I did this, you can go and check back on the previous tutorial that we did. I explained why we do this. So I'll just run this code right now. You can see we get the value 20 on our screen. So that's how we can create a variable in C++. So you can create variables. You can create multiple variables. So for example, you can also create another variable here. You can also say mine underscore number. This is number, number maybe 2, right? So this is my number 2. So we have all on this line, you have just declared 2 variables. So you can declare 2 variables using this way. So that's the way we can declare 2 variables. So we can also come down here and just say my number 2, and then we can give it assign to it a specific number. So whenever I print out my number 2, the computer will just go and grab us the data stored in the specific point in memory where number 2 points to. In this case it will be 30. So whenever we print, you can see we get 30 over here. So let me just end line so that this could be much clearer. So you can see we get 30 over there. So this is how you create a variable in C++. So now if you're coming from other programming languages, there's we can do all of this in one line, the declaration and assignment in one line. So to do the declaration and assignment in one line, what we can do is that I'll just remove all of this. I'll just delete all of this, and then after the declaration, just use the assignment operator, and then add to it 20. So right now this code will also work the same way. So we have deleted the variable my number 2, so we just need to put my number, which is the only variable we have, so it also works. So we can do the variable declaration and assignment in one single line of C++ code. So that's all I wanted us to cover in this tutorial. So one more thing that I would like to talk about: if you're coming from maybe other programming languages, you like Python, you might think you can do this 3, 2, but this will actually work. So let me just, this is this variable 2. So whenever I print variable 1, what we actually get an error, but in other programming languages this actually works, but in C++ it doesn't work. So if you print number 2, let's see, we still have that error. So the only way to get rid of this error is to separate these values. Okay, so we can just say int, we can just give it a variable. So here you can say equals to the 2, and then that way. So in this one, this will just be 3. Okay, so if you run this code right now, we shouldn't get any error and it works fine. So you can create a variable declaration and assignment of multiple variables just like this on this line. So this is how you create variables in C++. And next tutorial we'll go over data types, so you can see how you can create other variables that can be used to store different data types, such as string, sentences, and floating point numbers, and so on. So thanks for watching this tutorial. If this was helpful for you, please don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching.